We are happy to welcome back once again Mary Maloney, founding CEO of Revealing Genius. She's been our guest here before and shared her journey, which is just fascinating. And we're happy to have you back, Mary, so that you can share more of your career journey and speak with us about branding. And just to remind you that Mary sold her business at the age of 32. She's a three-time CEO and Chief Marketing Officer, and she just has an enormous education background, but also has a real passion around branding. So thanks so much for coming back, Mary. For our podcast disclaimer, please visit the episode description. So, back with us today is Mary Maloney here at What the Heck is Happening in HR. Welcome back, Mary.
Thank you, Kelly. It is great to be here. Great to reconnect with you.
Thank you. I loved your story. Thank you so much for sharing that. And you kind of left us on this cliffhanger of starting your business in your 20s. So, give us a bit more of some of that those decision points and then talk to us about branding. Really, what does it mean personally because you're sort of the epitome of doing that yourself. So, help us understand what that means.
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to. So, as I mentioned before in the episode before, I was downsized from a job that I absolutely love. We had rebranded a 100-year-old institution. It was really fun. I didn't see it coming, and I was disappointed and a little disillusioned. But looking back now, hindsight is 2020. It was probably the greatest thing that ever happened to me because at the time, I was working at a hospital. And I was working with some physicians that were doing some game-changing things, technology, procedures, one of which was an ophthalmologist who was a couple weeks away from doing the first corneal transplant in the Northeast.
Wow.
And I was working very closely with him on the marketing and the PR of that event. And I had somehow, in my young naivete, Kelly, talked the patient into allowing media in the hospital room as the bandages were coming off.
What?
Now, this is a woman.
This isn't the movie that was out recently, that same ophthalmologist?
No, but actually, I do know Dr. Ming Wang, and
Okay.
that's interesting you mentioned that. That's an awesome movie, by the way. It's called
Yeah.
Sight,
Oh, it was great.
and it
Absolutely.
stars
Okay.
Greg Kinnear.
Yeah.
It's a family movie.
Yeah.
I love ophthalmologists. It'll become very clear in a moment.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that,
Well,
but
I love them so
I had
much.
to ask. I'm sure other people
Oh,
were
yeah.
wondering if this was the same place. So, yeah, so
It's
go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, two different doctors,
Okay.
but same specialty for sure. So the so I was planning a media event where the patient was going to be sitting across from her mother when the bandages came off. She hadn't seen her mother in 20 years.
Wow.
So you can see, the
Wow.
emotive effect of that.
Holy
Yeah.
cow.
Well, it was just a few weeks away when I was downsized from the hospital. And the doctor came to me and said, "So you're going to help me do the thing, right?" And I said, "Well, I would love to help you do the thing, but I don't have a job anymore. Like I don't have a badge, I don't have access. Like I mean,
Mhm.
I can't." And he said, "Well, I need you to run the thing." And so this is the funny story. And he said, "So how much money do you make at the hospital?" I just kind of looked at him and he said, "Just tell me." And I said, "I make $36,000 a year." That's not laughable. I mean,
Wow.
I'm so proud of that. And he said, "Fine." He said, "I will give you $3,000 a month for the next 6 months for you to see this through. Just tell me that you will work with me as a consultant," which I didn't know what that was at the time. And I said, "Well, wow. Oh God, that I would love to do that. I mean, can I do that? And can I look for another job while I'm doing that?" Because that was my mindset,
Hmm.
you know? And he said, "Yes to both. Pause on the second one. I want to come back to that one." And he said, "Let's do the thing." We did the thing. It was amazing. I mean, looking back, Kelly, I probably should have asked for a percentage of revenue because it just like catapulted him into another stratosphere. I
Wow.
had no idea I could even ask for something like that at the time.
Mhm.
But anyhow, it was a great run. And he and his wife took me out to lunch to celebrate. And he said, "Listen, you're really good at this." He said, "I know you want to get another $36,000 job." He said, "But I think you should. I think you should start your own company." And he said, "And I'm going to help you do that." And he struck me a check and he said, "Take this check. This is a little cushion. I will be your first client." And he said, "I'm going to get you three more."
Wow.
And he said, "Just try it for a year." He said, he said, I can't see you just working with one firm. You can help so many." So true to his word, he put me in front of my second client. He became my second client. He
Mhm.
was an orthopedic surgeon, a little rough around the edges. And I remember sitting across the table from him in my finest suit. I was really nervous. And he folded his arms and he looked at me and he said, "Okay, well, doctor says that, you can do this thing for me." He said, "How much is this going to cost me?" And I said, "It'll cost you $3,000 for the next 6 months, and then we can talk about renewal." Because I didn't know what else to say. I
Wow.
literally had no idea what else to say. And literally within 2 months after being downsized, I had four clients at $3,000 a month. You can do the math.
Yeah.
Um, I had myself a tiny little business, and I was running it. Never in a million years did that cross my radar that I could do that at
Mm.
all. So I had someone believe in me when I absolutely didn't believe in myself.
Mhm.
And it changed the trajectory of my career. So I ended up running a medical marketing company where I worked with physician specialty practices, and I repositioned, remessaged, rebranded, strategy, media training, leadership training. Yeah. And I sold it when I was 32.
Wow. Good for you. That's that's
Thank you. I feel very
amazing.
lucky and blessed, and grateful.
Now, tell me how you made that change of knowing what to do for a place or another business to brand them to personal branding.
Yes, it's the same tenets. And and the definition of brand, whether it's a company or whether it's for an individual, is the same. Brand is an emotive response. So let's play. Like think about, a category. Like think about like retailers, Target, like big retailers, Target, Walmart. You get an emotive response when you think about those brands.
Mhm.
So then, let's play, in terms of the HR category. You're a CHRO, and 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 you're going to create an emotive response amongst a competitive set. That's what it's really about.
Mhm.
And on the personal branding side, I go even a little bit further. And this is the great work of my life, is what I'm doing now, is I believe that brand is the manifestation of the human spirit. And what I help people do now is to figure out their next act, because I know how hard it is to make a pivot and to reinvent and to, keep going.
Wow. Say that again. It's the manifestation of the human
Of the human spirit.
spirit.
Yes, and credit where credit is due. My friend Debbie Millman,
Mhm.
she talks about this in her wonderful TED talk, about brand symbols, and she talks about brand being around since the beginning of time, truly. And if you think about it, the essence of brand is the manifestation of the human spirit. Like what is it that makes you come alive, Kelly? You figured
Mhm.
it out. You're doing what you love.
Mhm.
Like Jeremy, who's running this podcast right now, he's exceptional at what he does. He's kind of figured out, what it is he loves to do. And I really believe that that's our divine duty. We
Mhm.
need to figure out what is it that makes us come alive and
Mhm.
go do that,
Mhm.
because that's how you're going to have big impact.
So, are there questions you ask yourself? I mean, how do you find this? How do you start with somebody, or how do I even know I need this? I'm taking
Yeah.
the next job. I'm taking that next $36,000 job, right? So how do I know? I need something when I don't have that sponsor, if you will, that you had, that mentor who saw something different in you. How do I see it in
Yeah.
myself?
Yeah, I say start with this. And I feel so strongly about it. It's become my signature. I call it a brand declaration. It is deceptively simple, incredibly powerful. The brand declaration has three parts. It is your purpose, it is your why, and it is your how. So what is purpose? Purpose is, in two words, why do you exist to serve? Two or three words. And then your extraordinary why statement. Like, what is it? At what are you the best in the world? And then articulate the transformation and or the shift that happens when you are operating from your zone of genius. And then the hows are most important. Think of the hows, and I usually recommend like up to nine. Like there, it's your standards of excellence, and they're non-negotiable. For example, if you don't do them, then you're not able to fulfill your why and your purpose. It's like your floor. Like anything below that is unacceptable. And it's just sort of your way of being in the world. So I say start with a brand declaration. I feel so strongly about it that I have a summit. I have an online course. I do one-to-ones because uh, so many folks like rush to the assets. Like I need a resume, I need a CV, I need a website, whatever. But they don't take the time to declare the essence of their brand. And
Mhm.
and that's where it is a leadership imperative. I think everyone should have it. I read mine every day. It's how I start my morning.
I love that. And you and I have not had this conversation about personal branding before right now, but so many times when I'm helping people with career coaching, I say, this is your next great adventure. You don't have to, you can get a job anywhere. But what is going to make you want to wake up wondering what your day is going to be like rather than worrying how you're going to get through the day? And so we need to talk at some point here. There must be a way we can collaborate on making sure people don't just settle and find that
Exactly,
thing
100%.
in
I've
them.
called, I've had people say it's become their true north guide. Like it
Mhm.
helps them make decisions, their brand
Yeah,
declaration if they come to a fork in the road. Because as you and I both know, Kelly, your what will change,
absolutely.
whether it's forced or unexpected, or if it's by choice. Like what you do in life will absolutely change, but your why should stay constant.
Mhm.
And the folks that take the time to really put a language and a vocabulary around it and like own it in their bones, it gives you a sense of agency and constitution that's unprecedented.
Mhm.
Because I I had a mentor once tell me, because I was having confidence issues as a CEO, and he said, "You don't lack confidence, you lack clarity."
Oh,
He said, "Get clear and you'll be confident." And
oh,
that's always stuck with me. So I sort of thread it together in terms of the brand declaration is if you're clear, you're confident.
I love
And then
that.
if you're confident, you have conviction. If you have conviction, then you are fulfilled. And when you're fulfilled and doing what you love, that's when you have big impact. And
Mhm.
that's the game, right?
Mhm.
Like there is no other game.
Right.
Like we are put here to have big impact. And the way to do that is figure out how in your unique way, like at what are you the best in the world? How can you contribute to humanity?
Wow. Oh, wow. And for those listening, we will have links so you can connect with Mary and be able to figure out where your Polaris is, what you'll be striving for, and where you can find opportunity to use that potential by defining it. This has been amazing. Is there anything else you'd like to make sure we know about personal branding?
The one thing I'll leave, I'm in my studio where I do all my recordings, and I have this this mantra on my wall, and it says "Love what you do." And it sounds cliche because you hear it a lot, but I really do believe that. Like we spend so much time at work, you know? And HR folks spend so much time figuring out how folks can be more engaged at work.
Mm-hmm.
And if we had to summarize it, like net it out, like net
Mm-hmm.
is figure out what makes you come alive, what lights you up, what rings your bells, love what you do, and the rest will fall into place.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love that. And I loved doing this podcast with you. Thank you so much, Mary, for participating in this fun adventure of what the heck is happening in HR.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Jeremy.